Scotland need to do a lot this weekend against Ireland to qualify for the quarter-final. But I'm here with Johnnie Beattie to understand just how they can do that. Ireland have an 8-game winning streak over Scotland, and the penultimate time that Scotland beat them was 2013, when this man next to me was playing. Any memories of that game, Johnny?
Strangely, not that one in particular, but obviously our nearest and dearest Celtic cousins. It's always good whether club or country we get one over them. It hasn't happened for a while, and you said we do have a lot to do. We'll try and pick it apart and explain exactly what we have to do, but a huge game for the boys in blue this weekend.
Now, Scotland were well beaten by South Africa in the opening game of the World Cup, and we're going to look at what they can learn from that game. So we're going to take one of Scotland's early lineouts here.
Yeah, it's a slight variation on a launch play that we see a lot from Scotland. Initially, they've tried to bypass the lineout, which they did a lot against South Africa. Clearly, they felt threatened by how South Africa defended the tail of the lineout, so they've opted to go 16 metres. They tried to set up a maul launch, but actually it doesn't go too well. They get taken to deck very well and sacked straight away. And that then has a big knock-on effect on the quality of the launch play that you're able to deal with in the following phase. It ends up being a bit of a slow and kind of sturdy starter play, which Scotland get caught behind the gain line. So the lesson for Scotland this weekend is at line-out time, how can they be more effective? How can they generate that ball to really punish an Irish forward pack, draw them in, and potentially the back row as well, to then give the front foot ball and the possibility of a decent gain line starter play for Scotland? Because traditionally, that's one of the areas we sort of struggled, is the power plays in the midfield. So how can we give that platform to take away gain line from Ireland that we didn't manage to achieve against South Africa?
Well, we see how far back Finn Russell is on that first phase. He's more than 10 metres back of the play. He's just going backwards to give himself as much space as he can against that South African blitz.
Yeah, also because it's different playing in South Africa. You know they blitz from outs to in, so you have to give yourself more time on the ball. You often see them, even the backline outside Finn was standing really, really deep. And that's an effort to either get round the South African blitz or over it with a skip pass. And I don't think we'll see that against Ireland, and they defend a very different way. Their rush is hard, it's quick and it's up in your face, but they don't blitz as out to in. So I would never expect Finn to have that sort of positioning against the Irish this weekend.
And as we play it through, we basically just see that starter play, which hasn't worked, has made an impact on every single phase until Finn Russell kicks it away at the end here. They're just going backwards every time. They have one positive carry, but basically it's all going backwards because of that first play.
That's it, it's on the back foot, and there's a sort of net loss of 10 metres from where the line-out was taken. And it just shows the absolute key in this game that the set piece will have for Scotland at the weekend, and that they can achieve parity and a little bit of dominance in those areas. Line out and scrum, the platform they allow their backline will be absolutely key. Whereas if they get knocked behind the gain line like this against the Irish, it'll be a very difficult day at the office.
When Scotland played Tonga, they had 53% gain line success. When they played South Africa, it was just 37%. Against Ireland, they're going to have to get towards 50% at least.
Yeah, they're going to have to achieve parity, and that has been a traditional issue, is on that gain line, the power plays, can we get the momentum that allows our backline into the game and allow them to fire shots? We've seen that our backline can throw some decent punches, they throw some different shapes and different images to defences. They're hard to contain, and that'll be a big, big push for Gregor Townsend and his men this weekend. Can we generate enough possession in decent areas of the field to throw some different images at the Irish and really test them?
Well, let's have a look at some of those images. Specifically, we've talked there about the exciting, aggressive backline, which is led by Finn Russell. In the Six Nations, on average, fly halves had about 45 attacking involvements. That's passes, carries, kicks. Finn Russell had 60. He is absolutely integral to Scotland's success, and we can see that from this almost try against South Africa. So just talk us through this, Johnny. So again, Scotland go over the top of the line out.
So you're using Sione Topolotu again to attract defenders at the gain line. He draws 3 men in, and it's the late movement out the back by Finn Russell. And you can actually see the positioning of Darcy Graham. This is a really nice line for all of your wingers out there. The late movement by Finn Russell shows a completely different image. He can't be picked up by the outside defensive line. You can see also the width of the Scottish jerseys. You see Blair Kinghorn, and I think it's Duhan van der Merwe on the wider channels. They have space. And Darcy Graham, him being sitting almost on Finn Russell's tail, that means he's also in a blind spot. He's not seen by defenders. That allows Finn Russell, with his late movement, to take the ball to the gain line and just offer a really nice shoulder ball to Darcy Graham. And that's where the damage is done. And you have to say, if this try is scored, it changes the complexion of the game. In the opening game, it doesn't. South Africa scramble and they get Darcy Graham to deck, but if you've got a 3-on-1 against Ireland, if we create opportunities like this, we must finish them. And that's going to be absolutely critical to Scotland's game this weekend.
Well, one of the things that Scotland are going to need to do to beat Ireland is create those mismatches. And we can see from this try against Tonga, one of the principles really of Scotland's attacking play, which is to try and overload a side, to try and just force all of their key decision-making players into one side to then beat the defence. Scotland is setting up this maul, and Finn is just walking towards the back of that maul. And he's not really doing anything at this point, nothing particularly aggressive, but even him just walking is influencing the Tongan defence.
So as this rolls on, you can see Ben White bounces out. There's a big pass into the midfield. It's the work of Chris Harris, actually, in this instance. He's the short runner, and that's what buys Finn Russell time and the space in the outside channel. There's the opportunity in this instance, if Kyle Stayner's on an inside trail, he can take the ball on the inside trail, but previously we saw with Darcy Graham almost on that 6th line. So Finn Russell has the opportunity to straighten up and have Kyle Steyn come round on a pop ball, on a shoulder ball. But this is the opportunity that we've seen with Scotland time and time again. With this type of pivot, is creating space. Previously it was Stuart Hogg. In the tournament so far it's been Blair Kinghorn. How do they come onto the ball and how do they create a 3-on-2? The distance of the two passes is absolutely huge as well. You've gone from 15 metre to 15 metre with two passes of the ball. So what this might look like this weekend, and weirdly what we've seen from Ireland defensively, is that they're second to last defender, so Ringrose, they almost ignore, or they have better width internally, and that allows Ringrose to really come up and fly and get the 15, in this case Kinghorn, man and ball on the deck. So it's one of these pieces of rugby that you appreciate the skill and organisation on both sides of the ball. It's like a game of chess. Like, it's really weird to pick apart, but it'll be really interesting to see how both coaches deploy their players and what options they go for this weekend.
One thing I just want to pick out here is that we often talk about Finn Russell as a magician or incredibly skillful, but he's incredibly fit and incredibly fast as well. From this play, he is directly behind Ben White when the pass is made, and that's, as you say, a long pass. And by the time the pass is made, and then Tuipulotu makes a pass, Finn Russell's managed to get there. That's incredibly difficult to do.
The fact that his movement is late is great for Scotland because it makes it really hard for the opposition to defend. His timing is absolutely impeccable, and then it's the execution of that second pass, the zip on it, and the ability to pick out the right individual. That's what Finn Russell brings to the Scottish side. If
we just keep an eye on what Finn Russell's doing, he's pointing the direction all the time. Everywhere where he wants it to go, they go right, he follows them. Everyone's just following what Finn Russell's doing here, and he is the centre of everything that is good about their attack. Scotland
don't really manage to dominate the gain line and allow him front foot ball with the initial exchanges, but there's no panic. And you can just see almost the red jerseys on the other side. And then when Finn actually has one opportunity to get to an attacking edge, again, it's that ability to have forwards in front of him, but it's that quality, the last ball, which not many people can do. Not many people can throw that ball on a gain line and the ball beats the last defender because you're so busy concentrating on what's in front of you, big forwards, that you generate the quickness and a bit of space. In this instance for Kyle Steyn to come onto ball, and the rest is really easy. But the difficult bit is the bit that Finn makes so natural and so easy for standoffs around the world. It's that quickness to the gain line, putting the ball through his hands and choosing the right option time after time.
Yeah, we see lots of teams will play with two playmakers, say Finn Russell and Blair Kinghorn, who has played fly half. Now, Scotland aren't doing that. They're playing essentially with one playmaker and everyone else is playing off him. Does that put too much pressure on Finn Russell?
I think it's where he likes to be. It also removes any layers of confusion. You've got one playmaker. He is your man that you're looking to drive the game. And look, he's the best in the business in my mind when it comes to Scotland. I think if you're playing with two receivers, we saw Stuart Hogg previously, Blair Kinghorn can come up as well. We saw against South Africa them bouncing back down the short side, trying to exhaust them down that way as well. So that might come into the game this weekend against Ireland. But no, for the rest of the team, the regularity in having one standoff, bossing traffic, communicating with one scrum half is generally easier.
One of the weaknesses that we have seen from Ireland, it hasn't been many, but is the Irish line-out. So at the moment it's operating at less than 80%,
yeah,
which is not really good enough for what you expect at an elite level. One of the reasons why it's so low is because Ireland have basically avoided throwing to the front. So in the tournament the average is 39%. For Ireland, it's 24%.
Mm-hmm.
So in this clip we can see South Africa are defending Ireland's 7-man line-out. And South Africa are giving Ireland the front and they're trying to cover off the back. Why are South Africa defending like that? Is that something that Scotland are also going to try and do?
You don't want to give opposition, especially not Ireland, quality ball from the middle or from the tail of the line out, because your chance of setting up and being more impactful in setting up a maul and going forward if you're at the tail or at the middle of the line out is much stronger. It means that the rest of the defensive pack has to work their whole way around and get behind. It's really difficult to come in and then impact a maul. And then also, South Africa want to take away middle and tail ball off the top, because it means if Ireland get away quickly, it's a really short pass into the middle of the field, whereas if they're at the front, it's a huge long pass.
Will Scotland be happy with Ireland having 100% success, but all of it to the front?
You like having cold lineouts, you never want to give anyone 100% because it's a mental, like you've obviously got, you want to influence and have an impact in your head. So if you can take away minimum 10% of opposition ball or disrupt or the quality of it, you always want to do your best to make it an absolute mess. That's what you want to give. The very best is if you say, right, we're going to take away middle and back, you allow them to take front ball and you allow your back line to have line speed, generate pace and try and come up and bash their 12 runners and get them behind the gain line. That then makes it easier for the forward pack defensively to come round the corner and defend the next wave because you're on the front foot, everything's easier. I think that's how Scotland will shape up. I think they'll say, we're going to defend the middle, we're going to defend the tail on 6-man and full-man lineouts, and you can have the front if you want it.
Well, as we see here, Ireland don't want the front, they want to go to the back, and South Africa put 2 pods up. It's a bit like we had the Ryder Cup on the weekend. It's a bit like a drive where you've got to clear a lake and a load of sand, and Ireland just can't do it here. They got picked off by the second pod. Now, this is what happens when Ireland do get ball to the back. So this is where they set up in a 5-man line-out. So this is their most popular or most common line-out setup. And we can see that they managed to do some lovely little bits of movement and just beat the South Africans for pace to get to the back. And they get an unopposed, essentially, ball to the back. And from there, they get very quick line speed.
Well, I think this is something we might see a lot of this weekend, both from Scotland and from Ireland, as a 5-man line-out, because 5-mans are much more difficult to defend. I think both teams will see having possession is absolutely crucial. It's easier to generate space, to have better dummies, and to find space middle, back, or even on 12 metres when you have a 5-man line-out. And it does just show the speed of ball, even though they're all rushing up on Bundy Aki because he's the primary target. Again, it's the shoulder ball, it's Van der Fleer. A different option, picks space, and with time, he gets himself over the gain line, and that allows Ireland to get themselves into their shape and get their attack going.
Now, we're going to use Live Tag Pro to look at this next clip. Now, this is a bit of rugby that I absolutely love. It's the tactics around the line out. And South Africa there are very knowledgeable about the law book here, and they're able to use that to the best of their advantage. South Africa can have 5 in the line out, and they have 5 here. We can show you them selected here. But they can also have 2 men within 1 metre of the line out. Now, what they're going to do, and what the law allows them to do, is as soon as the ball's in the air, one of those men who is within 1 metre can step into the line out, and the other can step out. So they have to always stay at 5, they can't go to 6, but they can change who's in that line out. And this is just incredibly intelligent.
It's very cleverly done. Like, you can even see the way South Africa are compressed. It's the image you show to the line-out caller from Ireland. Where do you want them to go? So here you're saying, we've got a 5-man defensive line, but actually it's all middle and tail, so you can take the ball at the front. Go and take it, it's free as a present, you can have it. And the late movement, and again, this is when you talk about chess pieces, and you talk about the smarts of coaches, and this will be the battle this weekend, so it'll be Paul O'Connell and John Dale for Scotland. They get up and they compete, and they pinch Irish ball, which traditionally for Ireland is a huge area of strength. So that'll be a massive area that Scotland will focus on this weekend as well.
So South Africa was successful at stopping Ireland's line out, but they also have some of the best forwards in World Rugby history, let alone currently. Do Scotland have the players to do that?
It's an interesting one. I think it comes more down to systems and what they do from structures. So I think from full line out and 6, I think both sides will probably stack the middle and the back, as we said. The big difference comes with problem solving and fixing things on the hoof. We saw, for instance, that Ireland, when they won at Murrayfield in the last Six Nations, even with players off and Josh van der Fleer throwing the ball in, they managed to adapt. And that's the bit that worries me for Scotland, is do they have the ability to change their systems and adapt and show different things to Ireland and make it more difficult for them? Ireland have shown they have that. Scotland are going to have to show something different this weekend and be a little bit better. And it's weird because I've played with Richie Gray and Grant Gilchrist. They're 2 very accomplished callers, really well respected as well. But I've also got a massive appreciation for the work of Paulie O'Connell and Ryan and how they go about their business. It's a battle I'm really looking forward to watch unfold.
Well, the next thing that Scotland needs to do is slow Ireland down. They have more rucks under 3 seconds than any team in the tournament. But in addition to that, they also have the ability to play off strike moves maybe 3 or 4 phases down the line. And what they're trying to do in those early phases is just generate and set up for those future phases. Well, Ireland score 38% of their tries from phases 3 or beyond. That must be incredibly tiring as a defender. Because Ireland plan those 3, 4, maybe 5 phases ahead, it becomes so much harder.
It's horrible. And that's it. There's nothing worse, especially if it goes on for, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. Yeah, it's always hard, and that's why Ireland are so good. They're the best side in the world at the minute, #1 ranked, because they're extremely well organised in attack and they create opportunities time and time again throughout the game.
So we're going to look at this next clip, this against Tonga. Again, we might consider scrums, lying outs as the 2 set pieces. Actually, kickoffs, 22 dropouts and goal line dropouts are the other 3 set pieces. And Ireland are really ahead of the game in terms of treating them like that. So this ball goes straight to Dulles. We know the drill at this point. He wants to get in the middle of the pitch to create those 2 sides of attack. How is Scotland going to deal with this threat?
So this is the nuance again. Taking the ball back to the middle of the field, and you think, right, okay, well, the strike's coming on second phase now, so we get ready. But it's not. You can see the Irish boys getting into position. You can see Tadhg Beirne with Kelleher with him. The ball goes wide, and actually there's an option to wrap out the back. They've decided not to go through with it, so that's phase number 2. But again, they conserve the ball. They stick together. This time, the deviation and the execution comes on phase 3. So again, there's a wrap play with Conor Murray. So Conor Murray steps out to first receiver. Bundee Aki plays halfback. And it's an inside ball to Ringrose. So they're able to bust you in several different ways. That is the detail that they have, a nuance in attack, is that these launch plays, the threat can come on phase 2, 3, 4. So for Scotland, you have to keep your wits about you. You cannot switch off mentally because this Irish side is so well organised and so structured in attack.
The problem is Ireland can control all that. From a goal line dropout, unless you go short and contest, in which case you risk giving them the ball in the 22. Ireland can set that first ruck basically wherever they want, and then the second one, again, they can do it from wherever they want because they know where the personnel are going to go. They can just plan everything so far in advance.
That's it, so they dictate play. But for Scotland, that is the challenge this weekend. You've got this deviation, you've got this structure, you've got this smart way of playing in attack and showing so many different images and making it hard to settle in defence, but you have to get off the line, you have to impose yourself, you have to try and dominate some collisions to make it hard for Ireland, get them on the back foot, make them bump into each other, give them slow ball. So there's all these different elements that Scotland have to put together this weekend and come up with a massive defensive performance.
It's modern rugby in a nutshell, isn't it? It's not just the physicality, it's the brain as well. So in order to stop Ireland's ruck speed, what are Scotland going to do? Are they going to just attack every single ruck? Are they going to choose when to attack? What's the thinking there?
It's a real mix, isn't it? And it's the sort of the mixture of people that you have in your team and the talent that you have. So I've been part of sides where you have people that are maybe poorer at competing for ball, but they want to get stuck in, but they give away penalties, and the coach will say, right, position 6, 7, 8, 12, 13 and 11, you're all very clinical and efficient in that area, so you can test. The rest of you mupp it, so you just stand in a line, get off the line and try and impose physically. So it depends on the personnel you have in the team. It's a huge area this weekend because if Ireland get their ruck speed to where they want, you're chasing shadows. They're so difficult to grasp and get on top of. So it'll be that mix for Scotland of wider channels now are incredibly important. You get your back 3 coming in, they're expected to compete. But quite often it's pre-prescribed who's allowed to compete, which is quite a strange thing. And it's not happened in every team that I've played in, but it's to protect some players because some people, they're just going off their feet and making a mess, and to really, empower others. Like if you look like a Rory Darge or Hamish Watson, boys, off you go. That's your strong point. Go and fetch, go and get us the ball, create that turnover ball that might generate the chaos and allow us to create some cheap points on the scoreboard.
Well, we talked earlier about finishing off chances and creating those chances. We've just spoken there about not giving the opposition 22 entries. A couple of stats here for you is that Scotland scored tries on just 32% of their 22 entries. For Ireland, it was 44%. And Ireland have had more than twice the number of 22 entries that Scotland have, and they played the same number of teams and the same teams by this point. That's quite a concerning statistic.
Yeah, statistics don't lie, but there's every opportunity to be there and overturn them. Like, that's why we play. You want to support the underdog. In this case, Scotland will be lower ranked in Ireland. Ireland are the #1 team in the world for a reason. They are very well organised, very well respected. They play a diligent blend of rugby that's really difficult to break down. But that's also exciting for Scotland, right? That's the challenge. You're playing the #1 team in the world, one of the favourites for the competition. Can you go and do it? Can you be part of a massive Scottish victory at the Stade de France? So that's the opportunity for them. It will not be easy, but they'll relish the chance.
Given those statistics, though, do you think Scotland keep playing the way they play, or will we see them take more long-range shots at goals? Perhaps what George Ford did against Argentina, take those drop goals and just build that lead?
Look, I think whatever you get, you take. There's different parts of the game that will be absolutely key. The sort of power game in the middle of the field, gain line, allowing Scotland a chance to get over the gain line and give this opportunity to Finn Russell. The set piece will be absolutely huge. And then if we create those opportunities, we talked about them there, statistically less, how many of them can we finish?
Scotland don't only need to win, they need to win by 4 group points. So they either need to win without a bonus point and Ireland need to avoid getting one, or Scotland need to win with a bonus point and then Ireland can have one. I'm going to run you through the permutations here, Johnny.
There's a lot.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Your math is better than mine, so I'm looking forward to this.
So we've got Scotland need to win. That's very simple. They can't lose, they can't draw, they won't escape from the group if they do that. They need to win with that gap of 4 group points, as we spoke about previously. There is one exception, though. If Scotland win with a bonus point and Ireland finish within 4 points, then it's South Africa and Ireland who go through, and Scotland will stay at home. And there remains one incredibly unlikely scenario, which is that if Scotland and Ireland both get the bonus points, but Scotland finish ahead of them by 21 points, it will be Scotland and Ireland who will both go through. Now, on that last one, do you happen to remember the last time that Ireland scored over 20 points but were beaten by 21 points or more?
No idea.
It was 2015. It's only happened once. 2015, Ireland against Argentina in the quarter-final, where once again they went home before making the semis.
Wow.
That's the only time it's ever happened in history. Could it happen on the weekend?
It could happen, because I think Scotland have got enough in the tank to rack up some point, and Ireland are going to score a point. They're a good team, so potentially it could happen. I'm just looking forward to it. Like, after talking about it, excited, looking forward to going to the game this weekend. And yeah, best team will win. We'll see.
And I'm going to pin you down now, Johnny. The score prediction, please, for the weekend.
Scotland by 8.
Perfect. Take all the permutations out.
Yeah, the rest. Maths is my strong point. Scotland by 8.
So that's what Johnny thinks, but what do you think? Can Scotland beat Ireland outside of Edinburgh for the first time since 2010? Drop your comments below. This has been Beyond 80, and we'll be back next week.